A couple weeks ago, I made a post about asking people's opinions about applied lessons and just sort of gauging some experiences that people have had and seeing if there was any like shared experiences. It wasn't like a very scientific thing. I just wanted to get some anecdotal feedback from people because last few times that I've had private lessons, I haven't been feeling the greatest, and I wanted to know why. And to try to find the root of that issue. Like, is it me? Is it my experience with private lessons teachers? And having some time to kind of process some of that, feel like I have come to some better conclusions. Something that probably warranted more video than a long drawn out post that nobody's gonna read. For me, through elementary and through my collegiate career, I didn't really have I didn't have consistent enough private lessons, and I think that probably hurts. In part because I kept switching instruments. Like I played trumpet, and then I stopped when I was bullied and jumped and beaten up for it. So I quit that. And then I didn't play an instrument again until I got to high school, and I took a couple lessons on tuba, but not enough to really, reinforce like good habits. And then when I got to college to play tuba, my lessons teacher never showed up. And then when he did, he would just berate me for not owning my own tuba. So I switched to euphonium, and it was the same lessons teacher, and he still never showed up. And the way I learned how to play euphonium was taking just little lessons here or there with like through drum corps camps, through like master classes and stuff you read online. And so I don't know what it's like to have, a lot of these, like set, lessons and picking something to work on week after week. Everything that I learned was things I taught myself and through my music classes and applying it into my own practice. And I was successful enough where when I wanted to win certain auditions, I got them. Before I enlisted, I auditioned over at Eastern Michigan on euphonium, and Heidelberg and Ohio Northern and Toledo and Bowling Green. I auditioned at all these places and I got accepted. So I knew I thought I was doing something right, and even up until when I auditioned for the military, for the 122nd in Ohio, I felt like, oh, okay, I'm an okay bass player. Like, I've had some lessons on bass, but for the most part, I did it. But then when I got to the Army School of Music, that was quickly not the case. Well, and so I guess, let's dive into that. When I got there, I was smacked over the head with what I've come to know now is imposter syndrome. And I felt like I was there by mistake. Like, I wasn't good enough. Like, these cats that were playing at the school of music, both, like, the cadre there and the people who were in my class with me, like, some of these people had, like, doctorate degrees, master's degrees. Some of them had played with these really, like, popular artists. They played for movie scores and whatnot. And these cats are, like, the top of their craft. Really good players. And here I am, this this bald-headed dude who has a bass guitar over him, who used to play in garage bands and playing in these, like, rinky-dink clubs all around the Toledo area. Meanwhile, like, these cats are, like, shredding, like, these Hondo pieces, or, like, just, like, warming up with the Hindemith because, like, hey, I'm having a bad day, like, let me play something that's beneath me. Like, I felt so inadequate compared to all these other people. And it was so hard to think that like how did I get here? What this I don't deserve this. And it was really hard to work through all that. And while I made it through and I graduated just like, with all those cats, it didn't really dawn on me that, like I was meant to be there. I won the same audition to get in that they did. It was really hard for me to like process that. Because it wasn't until recently that I felt that way. Like when I got out and became a civilian again, I didn't get to play as much. The only time I really played was, when we had missions or drill and stuff like that. So I didn't really have that same amount of pressure as I did when I was on school music. So now that I am taking private lessons again and I'm being forced to apply myself more consistently, I'm having to meet goals every week. It's uncomfortable. And as it should be, because as you grow, you almost think of yourself as like a crab, right? You have outgrown your shell, so you're molting so that you can fit and grow into a bigger shell, right? And I don't know if that's how that works with crabs. I'm not a crabologist. I should look into crabs. So anyways, I have to understand that as I grow and I'm pushed up against my own walls, that I have to break these down in order to grow. And this semester I've faced a lot of these same feelings that I did when I was at the school music, that I don't feel like that I belong here, in part because I'm older. I'm 10 plus years older than all the other kids in my class, and all these kids are like they're fresh out of high school, and they're taking lessons and they're talking about theory and all this stuff, and it's been a minute for me. I'm sitting down with my lessons teacher, and he's like, all right, play 2-octave major scale on a string bass, and it's just like, I've only ever played electric, and I only took one semester of string bass. Like, this is hard. And I feel shame because it's like, well, I don't want this to reflect on my military background, because it's not the military's fault that I suck at string bass. Like, it's my fault. Like, I don't want, any lessons teacher that I took a semester with on string bass, like, I don't want that to reflect poorly on them. Like, it's my fault. And that's all really difficult, because I want to be great. I want to grow beyond what I have presently. Not because I think that it's beneath me, but because I want to achieve all these great things. And it's difficult. And in those times, I have to remember that I have to play some really great players. Like those same players that graduated from, big schools like North Texas or Indiana. Those cats that I played with in my units who have gone on to win premier band gigs. Those people, like, I got to play with those people. And when it comes down to it, they're just like me. Like, if they work hard and they apply themselves, they can do that. And that could be me too, whether as a performer or as a teacher or whatever the cards have for me. I can do that. I have to apply myself and just stay focused. And sometimes those days are hard. It's hard to stay focused and apply yourself, but I guess in a roundabout way of saying is that when you feel like you're not meant to be there and you feel like you don't deserve it, to flip it around and remember that you're there with all those other great players, and they should be more worried of you, because while, yeah, they worked hard and they earned all that really great stuff, but you're there able to hang with them too, like, you may have this really good degree that, and you're just being able to play all this fancy stuff, but a lot of the stuff I learned I taught myself, and I'm able to hang with them. So if I can do it, like, why not anybody else? You know, like, I know that I still have a lot to learn, and I look forward to growing.